Welcome to the Growth Catalyst Show, where we believe that growth could come in many forms: professional, personal, company, sales, you name it. I'm your host, Dan Mahoney, founder of Transcendent Sales Solutions and a guide to a world of growth possibilities. I've spent my career empowering companies and their people with strategies that accelerate growth. I'm here to bring you stories of these business leaders and their trusted advisors to gain insights into their journeys and learn how they fuel their own growth. Just maybe their journey could become part of your own growth story. Are you ready? Let's grow. Welcome to the next edition of the Growth Catalyst Show. I'm your host, Dan Mahoney, and I'm excited to have my next guest here today. Jonathan Warner is the president of Tax Savings Partners. He is a 20-year veteran of the Georgia economic development community, having brought tax incentives, organizational development, and leadership consulting to businesses across the state. Jonathan founded the company in 2013 and led the organization through 2 mergers and explosive growth through the COVID-19 era. Jonathan, my friend, welcome to the Growth Catalyst Show.
Man, this is where all the cool kids are hanging out. I love it.
Well, I got you right here, so you've solidified that, my friend.
Thanks.
So, well, listen, I'm really excited to talk to you today and learn about your journey and your growth story. So, I love doing research on the show and getting ready for the show. You are a native of the great state of Florida, correct?
Yes, which is getting rained on a lot today.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have a lot of weather coming up at this time of our recording. So, I saw that, right out of high school, and I don't know where it was in Florida. Was it Central Florida or
Tampa Bay area? I grew up.
Okay. Tampa Bay. Okay. They're definitely getting hit today. So, I saw that you originally got out of college, or you went into aviation technology and then went into the Navy.
I did. I wanted to fly airplanes. So I did a 2-year degree at St. Petersburg College, Associate in Science and Aviation Technology. And, all of my friends and we all went out to see the movie Top Gun. So, of course, everybody wanted to be Tom Cruise, right? So I had it with classes, and I was going off to the Navy. So I joined the Navy. And didn't become a pilot, but I got to work in the aviation community, worked on anti-submarine warfare technology. That was kind of cool. If you read any Tom Clancy's books, that's the kind of stuff we did. That was fun. And the U.S. Navy gave me an amazing gift. Compliments of everybody who lives in our wonderful country is I got about $12,000 to use towards college. So after military service, I attended Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, where I completed a 4-year degree in aeronautical management, and that's what brought me to Atlanta.
So tell me and first of all, thank you so much for your service. I appreciate it. As a Marine dad, I really appreciate all you've done for our country. Where were some of the places you were stationed, if you can say?
Sure. Memphis, Tennessee, Jacksonville, Florida, and then Andros Island, Bahamas.
No Pensacola for a Navy guy, really?
No Pensacola. Nope. I went to Pensacola a couple times for a couple of short-term jobs, but that was out of Jacksonville.
I noticed something else into your education, which kind of woke me up when I was looking, is you have not only a graduate from UGA, go Dogs, but you also have some certificate from Georgia Tech.
So I've got 2 certificates from Georgia Tech. I've got the occupational safety and health train the trainer. So part of what I did with the state of Georgia was consult with companies on their OSHA compliance, and I did training. And then I'm also a graduate of the Georgia Tech Basic Economic Development course, which is where I learned all about tax credits and tax incentives for businesses in Georgia.
So you went to both. So you're still rain red, right?
Man, I bleed black. I bleed red and black. That's that's what I'm proud of, and it's great to be a Georgia Bulldog.
I know you're really proud of your family too. Tell me a little bit about your family.
Oh my goodness. Well, my wife Amy, who is also a Georgia grad, and she did graduate work at Georgia State. She is my partner in life and business partner, and I love working with her. And if we can ever agree on where to set the thermostat, life will be great. So we're still trying to figure that out. Oldest son, Auburn University graduate, electrical engineering. He is now up working in Chattanooga at the Tennessee Valley Authority as an electrical engineer. And his younger brother, Charlie, is a senior out of the University of Missouri. And we just got back from Parents Weekend, so we're proud of what he's doing out there. He's going to graduate in business with a concentration in digital marketing, and hopefully he will be gainfully employed soon, so we can get everybody off the payroll, and then we could start, buying things for us.
That's right. Well, one of the things I love about you, many things, is you are so passionate about things and
Okay.
you're passionate about your work. And one of the things I love about your passion is scuba diving. And talk to me a little bit about your scuba diving. I know you're a dive master and you started, I think you started a firm, Dive Ventures, recently, a couple
So
of years ago.
Dive Ventures is a national
Okay.
chain,
Okay.
and
Didn't know
so
that.
yeah, yeah. So Dive Ventures is a company owned by one of the his name is Dean Hollis, and he's part of the Publix executives who
Yeah.
moved on, and I think he worked for ADM or something. And his passion is diving, so he started this company, Dive Ventures, and he's buying up all these little shops around the country. They've become the largest retailer in swim and scuba. And they bought the shop right down the street from me here in Marietta, Georgia. And during COVID, we were all stuck in the house with nothing to do, right? So I thought, what a great opportunity to become a scuba instructor. So I took the classes and I did the evaluations. And in 2020, I became a dive professional. And when I'm not working here in the company or trying to solve problems for my kids, I'm teaching scuba classes at night and on the weekends. And it jazzes me up. It gets me out, gets me exercise, and I love the community. I love diving, so it was just a perfect fit.
And I take it you had a little diving experience from being in the Navy, I'm guessing.
No, no, no
No, they
diving in
didn't
the.
teach you how to swim. They didn't teach you how to swim.
I did some snorkeling when I was stationed in the Bahamas. That was kind of cool. But my work in the Navy was on aircraft, so I spent my time on the flight line.
So let's go to 2013. You started this business called Tax Savings Partners. What was your motivation to start the business?
Well, the business has changed a few times.
Hmm.
Started out as strategic HRD, which stands for Human Resource Development, and that's the concentration that I studied at UGA, working on a graduate degree. And I did a few projects for companies, mostly in the area of organization development and leadership development. And then I partnered up with a guy that was also in state government. He was in charge of the Georgia retraining tax credit for the whole state. And so I partnered up with him. And then he retired. I bought his part of the business. And so changed the name to Workforce Training Partners. And then just this past year, changed the name again to Tax Savings Partners as a one stop shop for Georgia tax credits and some federal incentives too. And then we brought on the accounting and bookkeeping. I know I didn't specifically answer your question, but the the business has evolved since 2013. And back when I was with state government, I was the economic development director with Chattahoochee Technical College, and we had some really good training contracts. We were doing pre-hire training for Lockheed. They were hiring for the F-22 and F-35 project. And this is still back in the day when we had a presence in Afghanistan and Iraq. And so we were training field IT people before they went overseas. And so we were doing a lot of customized training. And then the war drew down, so we lost that Army contract. The F-22 program was canceled, so we lost that contract, and we had a lot of people working for us. And my job was about to change. They were going to move my cheese. So I came home, and Amy was working as an accountant at AT&T at the time. I came home and said, I got an idea for a business. And so we talked about it, and she said, "Well, you've got a couple of years to make it successful, or you're going to have to go out and get a real job." And I did not want to get a real job. Don't ever get a real job. So I had the opportunity to do fun stuff, and there have been some ups and some downs, but over the last 10 years, man, I would change very little.
As you've grown the business and you've had, like you said, very several different changes and pivots, it sounds like, and a lot of branding, it sounds like, changing your name 3 times. Tell me some things you've learned along the way. It's just being a business owner in general.
Yeah. Well, first thing is learn from people who've made the mistakes before you and listen, because I nobody is born a natural entrepreneur. Some people say, "Oh, you've got guys like Mark Cuban, name a bunch of other people, right?" You have to learn from others. And so one of the lessons that I learned was, what's the expression? You use your mouth and your ears in proportion. So listen to others, learn from their successes and their mistakes, and then try to emulate what they have done well, and try to avoid the things that have caused others problems. So that's one of the things that I've learned. Have a group of trusted advisors that you can call with questions, and be a trusted advisor for other people. And there are folks who have called me and said, "Hey, I want to start a business. What do I do?" And so I've given others my best advice, and I want to see them succeed and grow and do the things that they want to do. So seek advice and be a good advisor.
That's sage advice. I know
Yeah.
there's really no books out there. I mean, there's so much stuff out on the internet, but how to start a new business, but you don't know what you don't know, even
No.
starting it and incorporating. And yeah, I mean, whether you're running an actual business of one or a business of 100, you got in a lot of cases, you have to have you need all the same stuff.
Absolutely. And find people that you trust, that you can partner with, and that will lead to other successes and allow your business to grow.
All right, so I got a question for you, and this part of our discussion is going to be very educational. It's going to be for me, and I'm sure for many others. Tell me what cost segregation and being a cost segregation and tax specialist or tax credit specialist means.
Sure. So I want to save business owners actual cash on their state and federal tax obligations. There is a plethora of tax incentives available both in our state and in the country, and in every state. And so what I try to do is focus on some things that I've learned over the years and things that I do very well. To answer your question more specifically, let's talk about the cost segregation piece.
Mhm.
So, businesses that have bought a building, are going to buy a building, or about to build a building, these businesses will, over the life of their building, they will depreciate its value. There's what we call real property and personal property, and real property and personal property will depreciate at different rates. But to kind of bring it on home, a multifamily property will depreciate over a 27 and a half year life. A building that is not considered multifamily will depreciate over 39 years. That's what we call the depreciation schedule. So property owners will take a tax benefit, say for an office building, each and every year for 39 years and get a tax benefit. What the IRS lets business owners do is accelerate that depreciation by identifying the different components in the building. For example, electrical systems, plumbing systems, flooring systems, HVAC, all of these components have a different depreciable life. So the IRS says if you can identify what those different components are, you can depreciate those at an accelerated rate, 5, 7, or 15 years. And what that does is instead of taking a tax benefit over a long period of time, business owners that own property can shorten the time that they take that tax benefit. What that does is that results in additional tax deductions. And when you have tax deductions, you pay less tax, which means you have more cash flow to be able to pay down debt, reinvest in the business, hire employees, do things that's going to allow you to make more money. So cost segregation at its very simple explanation is accelerating depreciation that results in greater cash flow.
So it's not necessarily about the building per se. It's more like what's inside of it where you can accelerate that depreciation. I mean, you're not going to accelerate the depreciation on the entire 39 year of a commercial building, but components inside of it basically is where you can accelerate.
True.
Let's take a moment for a quick word from our sponsor. This episode of the Growth Catalyst Show was brought to you by Transcendent Sales Solutions. Whether your company is facing uncertainty, declining sales, or resource limitations, Transcendent Sales has the solution. Their team has decades of experience helping businesses find alignment to meet their growth goals and transforming underperforming sales organizations into revenue-producing market leaders. They take a hands-on, results-oriented approach to solving sales challenges. Visit transcendentsales.com to learn more and subscribe to the bi-weekly Growth Catalyst newsletter for insightful growth strategies. Transcendent Sales Solutions, empowering businesses to reach new heights. And now back to the show.
So here's a very simple way to look at it. You have two types of property. You've got real property, you've got personal property. Consider the real property stuff that's basically stuck to the ground, right? Mm-hmm. You got your foundation, you got the steel, right? You got the roof. That's what's called real property. Then you got the personal property, all the stuff inside the walls, attached to the ceilings. Those are the components that, using an engineering-based method, you can evaluate what the 5-year components are, what the 15-year components are, and accelerate those components. So that's essentially what a cost segregation project does. And there are a couple of different ways. Actually, there's more than a couple, but the IRS says it's okay to kind of lump it together, but don't get audited, because what some accountants do that really are not familiar with the process is they will lump everything together, take the deductions, and you hope for the best. What the IRS really likes for companies to do is use an engineering-based method, which is getting the blueprints, the drawings, a list of everything that's gone into a building, and especially if you've built a building, then architect is going to have that list of stuff that went into the building. And so with that list, and then an on-site, what we call an on-site survey, where we take photographs of all the components, then engineers can go in and identify each component and assign actual values. And that's going to withstand an IRS audit if there ever is one. And that's why the IRS likes the engineering-based method.
So, and you can actually, it sounds like, and from what I've heard you explain it before, is you can do this for and plan for it for a new building. I've seen you walk around with your roll of tape. Like, who carries around like drywall tape with them?
Oh my goodness gracious! I wish.
You don't have one in hand, Jonathan? All right. It's okay.
I got it right here, baby. Green zip tape. So
the only guy I know that walks around with drywall tape that doesn't do drywall. So explain it away.
I don't do drywall, but the IRS tells us that, by the way, we have a letter from the IRS that says this is the only product that allows building owners to turn non-load-bearing interior walls from real property into personal property. This is the only one. And so what this does is when we're talking about accelerating your depreciation on a property, not only can the walls itself be depreciated at an accelerated rate, but everything inside the wall, all the electrical, the plumbing, who does really well using green zip tape? Dentist's office, they have lots of plumbing on the inside of the walls.
Oh,
And a lot of
yes.
electrical and all the x-ray stuff. All that can be depreciated as 5-year property. MRI centers, they've got all sorts of weird, wacky technology going on inside the walls. When they use the green zip tape, then they can accelerate the depreciation on everything inside the wall to 5-year personal property and take a tax benefit. So I don't know much about construction. You don't want me doing drywall because, gosh, I would probably suck at it if I tried it. But you want to use this stuff if you're building a building because this results in additional tax savings.
Talk a little bit about some of the Georgia tax credits. I know there's retained tax credits, jobs credit, investment credit, because I think a lot of what you talk about now before it was more federal stuff, correct?
Right. So when we're talking about cost segregation, we're really talking about tax deductions, meaning that when we calculate a deduction, we are going to adjust the gross income. And when you adjust that gross income, that means that you pay less tax using more deductions, right? So a tax credit, I like to call this actual cash. This is I don't like using the word discount. It's a reduction in the amount of tax owed. And so when a governing authority authorizes tax credits, they're trying to incent you to do something. I remember a few years ago when electric cars first came out. Nissan had one, Toyota had one, and there was a federal tax credit which basically amounted to almost a free car. They were trying to get individuals to buy these electric cars and get them out on the roads. So that was a personal tax credit. And so businesses are incentivized to do certain things. For example, the 3 tax credits that we specialize here are the Georgia jobs tax credits. And so when companies are increasing the workforce, politicians will say, we are creating jobs. So every state has some sort of a jobs tax credit. When you create a certain number of jobs in a certain area of the state, then there will be tax benefits that can be taken on creating those jobs. The Georgia investment tax credit for companies that are going to invest in their physical facilities or purchase, for example, manufacturing equipment, then there is a tax credit available to do those things. And then the Georgia retraining tax credit, which is really where I cut my teeth, that is the incentive for companies to invest in new technology. And then the tax credit is based on the costs that are expended on training employees in that new technology. So that technology can be almost anything that changes in the work environment. So companies that invest in new customized software or SaaS platforms, companies that invest in new manufacturing equipment, new tools, other types of technology where companies have to tell their employees, stop what you're doing, learn this new thing, which is different from the old thing, and then you go back to work. That is what makes companies eligible for that tax credit, which is worth up to $1,250 per employee per tax year. It's a very lucrative credit, and any company that is constantly changing their technologies and training their employees should be taking this tax credit and not leaving it on the table, because companies can spend their money in a more effective way than politicians under the gold dome can do it. I think.
Never more of a truth statement said on the Growth Catalyst show. So
There you go.
absolutely. Share. Can you share like a success story with maybe somebody you work with in the past? Just some generalities on what maybe some of the work you did for them, how it helped them.
Oh, sure. I recently did a job for a small business owner. This small business owner, he's got one location, and this one location business owner, it's an auto repair shop. He had one store that he outgrew, so he had to move all of his equipment and all of his employees to a newer location, bigger location, and I think he's about to outgrow that location. So what we did for him is first we did, because he just bought a building, we did an engineering-based cost segregation study. We saved him about $28,000 on his federal tax obligation, so he was very happy with that. And then we turned around and we did a Georgia retraining tax credit project for him. Saved him another, oh my gosh, I 12, 16,000 maybe. So this is real money that he's able to use to pay down his debt and reinvest in his business. We thought that was a huge success story. There is a rubber manufacturer in North Georgia, a slightly larger international company, but even though they're headquartered outside of the state, they have a presence in Georgia. Currently, maybe about 80 full-time employees who work there, and each and every year, as most manufacturers do, they are upgrading their tools, their equipment, they're investing in new technologies to try to make their company better, to stay ahead of their competition. And so each and every year, they are realizing tax credits of mid 5 figures just because they're buying new equipment that they're going to buy anyway. They're training their employees who they're going to train anyway. And now, because I've been working with this particular company for almost as long as I've had the business, about a little over 10 years, this company gets a tax benefit each and every year that they're reinvesting back into the company. And even though they are a giant global company, that money stays here in Georgia. And I love working with Georgia companies and working with Georgia tax credits because, being from the economic development community, economic development is about the win-win-win. It's a win for the company. It's a win for our state. It's a win for the communities where these businesses reside. It's about getting us better, maintaining our competitive advantage, not only in the Southeast, but all over the country. That's why Georgia is just an amazing place to do business. And it's because we have leadership that has the foresight to have these incentives that reinvest in our businesses and allow us to be better.
You not only sound like what you're talking about, because I know you do, but you sound like a politician, and I would vote for you. So
I ain't running for anything, brother. not on your life, but thank you.
All right. So, and I know as you continue your growth, and thanks for the explanation on that, because that really is really good education, understanding what's out there. As you continue to grow the next couple of years, I know you and Amy have a new service in the business. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
We do. Amy, who is our vice president of accounting and bookkeeping, and I think she thinks she's also the vice president of the thermostat. We're still working on that. She's had just an amazing career in the accounting world at AT&T, and she's had some recent experience doing accounting and bookkeeping for small businesses with another firm. After her retirement from AT&T, and I am just so excited to have her join Tax Savings Partners to provide leadership in our accounting and bookkeeping service. And so what we're looking to do is serve small to medium-sized companies, 250K up to 10 million in revenue, and give them the not only the advice, but also the services that will allow them to be able to focus more on their business. There are a lot of small business owners. I had a conversation with a dentist this morning, and this dentist, he's tired of doing his books. He had another service that wasn't really doing specifically what he wanted. And so he thinks that by outsourcing this function to a firm like ours, he's going to be able to focus more on dentistry, and his staff is going to be able to focus more on serving their customers. And so that's what we want to do, is clean up the books, make sure that everything is ready. So when his CPA says it's time to do tax planning and it's time to file your taxes, everything is in a neat package, it's done correctly, and it's ready to go.
That's awesome, because I could tell you, as a small business owner myself, that service is needed, because you get yourself into QuickBooks and you think you know what you're doing until you do your first couple tax returns and you realize your CPA tells you you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly. And so we are very fortunate that we have CPAs that are not afraid to pick up the phone and say, Jonathan and Amy, we've got a client and their books are a mess. We're not going to do it because that's either not what we do, or the business is so small, we're going to have to charge them X hundreds of dollars per hour to do this work. If you can take this client on, fix them, and then send us the file through QuickBooks, that's a big win. So talk about a three-way win. We're happy to have the business. It's a win for us, but most importantly, it's a win for the CPA firm, because they have a trusted service that can do this work that they need done. And boy, is it a huge win for the small business owner who really needs their books done correctly. And they need to have a partner that's going to work not in lieu of, but in partnership with their CPA. And so that's something that we feel very strongly about is, our business is Tax Savings Partners. We want to partner with our financial advisor partners, with our M&A partners, with our CPA partners, to work together, ultimately to make sure the client gets exactly what they need, when they need it, and in the way that they want it done.
Jonathan, I love your story. I love your passion and I love your vision. And I really appreciate you taking some time on the Growth Catalyst show today. Last question. If someone's interested in learning more about tax saving partners and saving some more money, or learning how they can help or get some help with their fixing their books, what's the best way to get a hold of you guys?
TaxSavingsPartners.com. Check out our website. There's a button that you can press to schedule a meeting with me. Everybody's doing that, so I want to be one of the cool kids. Press the button, and you can choose a 15, a 30, or a 45-minute meeting. There's also a place on our website where you can enter in some additional information that gives us a little more to work on, and that will let us know, do you want to have a conversation with Jonathan? Do you want to have a conversation with Amy? We'll answer all your questions, and anything that we can do, we want to be able to serve. And sometimes we're not the right solution. And I've got a network of people, an amazing network of people that I can call upon to get things done for our clients. If we can't do it, if our clients need accounting and bookkeeping, over $10 million, then we're going to refer that out to somebody who can handle a larger company. We just want to make sure folks get what they need and have the right person doing the right thing.
Jonathan, thank you so much for taking some time today on the Growth Catalyst show, and I really appreciate your friendship, and we'll see you up the road.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, buddy.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Growth Catalyst Show. Remember, you can take these stories of growth and make them part of your own journey. Learn from them, draw inspiration, and let them guide your path of growth. I'm your host, Dan Mahoney, and I look forward to our next journey together. If you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, keep growing.